Well, hey, and welcome to the amazing Next Steps in Ministry at LCBC West Shore. As I hope you've heard by now, LCBC's mission is to introduce people to Jesus and to together fully follow him. And that's really the heartbeat behind the Next Steps in Ministry. How do we come alongside people and help them just continue to take next steps in their faith journey as they grow, hopefully, closer and closer in relationship with him, and as they become more and more the people that God created each of us to be. And that's a journey that we're all on. We all have next steps. And to those of you who are giving of your time and your talents and your passions to just walk with others on that journey, we're just super appreciative and super grateful. So gold is something that crosses all ministries and all ministry teams. No matter what team you serve on at LCBC, at some point you should be introduced to the acronym GOLD. And it really is just an acronym. Each of the letters stands for something, and it's all related to just going above and beyond in loving others the way that we've felt God's love for us. And they each represent, just some way that we can ensure that when people interact with someone on behalf of LCBC, whether it's a front door greeter or maybe it's their kids, group leader in their kid environment, or they're coming to somebody's house for a group, or they're serving alongside someone setting up a baptism pool. No matter where you're interacting with somebody who calls LCBC their church home, we want to ensure that that's an experience that matters to them. And so even, hours and days and maybe even months after they leave the presence of that person, there's just this ringing heart of just something in their gut. There was just something different about that person. And we do that all because we have felt God's love so deeply ourselves. We just want to be purposeful and intentional about conveying that love to others. And gold is just kind of an easy, a little cheesy way to remember some specific ways we can love others as God has loved us. So G, that just stands for greeting with a smile. And some people, like on our guest experience teams, they take that super literally, making sure that no matter what they're thinking about in their head, they're realizing that their face is what other people see. So for some people in some serve areas, it literally is talking about a smile on your face. But in next steps, whether you're preparing a room for baptism or leading a group in your home, serving in next steps and greeting someone with a smile encompasses the state of our face and our bodies. As representatives of Jesus, we're constantly aware that the message our body language and facial expressions communicate can either break down or put up barriers. When we serve, we want those around us to know something is different about the people at LCBC. And so it really is just a general affect. It's remembering that our body language is always communicating something. I'm the kind of person who I don't like to bother people who are working when I'm like shopping. So if I have a question, like maybe I want to know where something's at Target, I will pass certain workers, and some of you are going to be like, that's crazy, but I will like pass certain workers who are just giving off that vibe that they don't want to be asked questions, they don't want to be disrupted in whatever they're doing, and I'll just walk around for the person who's just giving off that sense of like, hey, I'm here to help you, I want to help you, and that's all, without them ever saying a word. It's just a general affect. Is our presence in other people's lives welcoming, or is it a barrier that they have to get through? So greeting with a smile, that's, body language, it's all kind of wrapped up in that. O stands for owning the role, and this is really just making sure that you know the nuts and bolts of what your specific role requires. So for some of you, for example, if you're going to be a group leader, one of the things that's owning your role is making sure you take accurate attendance. It's super important to us to know that people are taking next steps in their faith journey, and it helps us know if we're being good stewards of the people that God's bringing us by being able to kind of just track some of these metrics. And so there's this why and this heartbeat around things that we ask you to do as part of your role. And owning the role just means that you're being good stewards of that role that you're given by understanding all of the expectations that fall under your role and then completing them and executing them well. L stands for looking the part. And again, for some of us, this is physical things that we're supposed to wear. If you serve at the Next Steps area, there's a Next Steps t-shirt that you're supposed to wear whenever you serve, and a lanyard that has your name on it that you're supposed to wear whenever you serve. But this could also be, if you're having a group in your home, this could also relate to like the state of your home. Now, I am not a neat freak by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm not saying you've got to like dust and wash the baseboards when people are coming over, but there's probably a certain standard at which you want to invite your people into your home in a relatively clean, welcoming state. So even something like that, looking like you're prepared, like you're ready, like you want people in your environment. If you're leading an on-site group, maybe it's running a pot of coffee or having some waters available. So looking like you want people to interact with you and that you're expecting them, and that they should be excited and ready, that you're anticipating them and ready to interact with them in that way. And that's all wrapped up in L, what it means to look the part. It says here, how we appear to others reflects how excited we are to be serving God in our unique way. The last one's probably my favorite. D stands for delivering the wow. And these are all the ways we go above and beyond in our roles. So these are the extra messages that you text someone when you're a group leader, because someone mentioned that they had a job interview coming up, and you just call them or text them and say, hey, I'm praying for you this morning. I know your job interview is later on this afternoon. Maybe I love the example of David Chubb, our baptism coordinator. He always brings extra towels on the day of baptism, because when someone realizes that in their nerves and their panic, they've forgotten their towel, to be able to say, hey, no worries, we've got some extra. That delivers the wow. It's reminding people, and it says up here that we want to meet and exceed expectations in ways that stick with people and remind them hours after they left us that at LCBC they matter. We can be difference makers in other people's lives, and the way that we handle ourselves and the way that we interact with others, like I said, can either break down barriers or put barriers up. And so in our efforts to love others as Jesus has loved us, we definitely want to be tearing down some of those walls. And GOLD is just a fun acronym and a way of remembering that. Thanks for all you do.